Suzuki has never been known to compromise or follow car fads and trends. Case in point, this Vitara right here. What's different about it? Well, it's got that sweet AllGrip all-wheel drive system. Is this the best SUV for you, or probably head on to someone else? I got one thing for you though. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. We're gonna take for a spin, take a look inside, and see if this is going to be the best compact crossover SUV. What's going on, guys? Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph, and today we'll be having some wheel time with the 2021 Suzuki Vitara AllGrip. Now, you'd definitely be hard-pressed to find the differences between the 2021 Suzuki Vitara and the previous year's model. But first, you gotta appreciate this trapezoidal grille here, and you'll see that that's what's different with the previous generation. You also have this metallic skid plate here, and of course your LED DRLs. Well, this DRLs definitely doesn't match the fog lamps, I think, but at least they're there, and I really appreciate it having there. You also have these vertical designs on the upper grille. But what makes it definitely look like an SUV is this clamshell bonnet on top that gives it this macho looking vibe. And of course, you gotta love this large sweeping headlamps right here, but the blue tinge on the projector headlamps kind of gives it a bit more character, but kind of looks out of place as well, especially if matched with these halogen high beams and these amber turn signals here. The DRLs might have been integrated well into the headlamps, but again, I'm not the Suzuki's designer, so let's see what they can do. Overall, it's a great look for the 2021 Suzuki Vitara AllGrip. What do you think? Leave us a comment down below, and then we'll check out the other sides of the body. In a definite Suzuki signature way, you have these black slats on the base of the A-pillar, which gives it a more SUV feel, and of course that retro Suzuki SUV feel. You got this black cladding on the side that covers these, that hovers over these 17-inch machined mags right here, which really look great on 215/55 R17's Continental tires. Of course, Suzuki definitely loves chrome, don't you think? It's got these chrome garnish, and of course the chrome garnish on top of the door handles as well, which is kind of odd, I think, but in the overall scheme of things, the overall look definitely matches the look all in all. You got more plastic black claddings at the bottom of the body there. Of course, you got this minimal looking roof line, and the overall side of the Suzuki Vitara here gives it a more powerful look because of these push lines at the bottom of the window signs right here that starts off from the front of the vehicle all the way to the back. Now, of course, you've got this huge muscular looking rear fender here that gives it even more SUV vibes, and I think this one is really where the Suzuki Vitara gives it a more aggressive look. Head over to the back and I'll show you more what I think. Now, you definitely got more SUV vibes from the 2021 Suzuki Vitara AllGrip from the rear section. I love how this rear hatch looks. It looks expansive, it looks really cool, and it's got this rear spoiler right here that's decked out in black. Of course, you got your Superman logo looking tail lamps that has full LEDs in it. You've got your rear diffuser with a rear skid plate, rear metallic skid plate to match the front skid plate. And of course, you got your really cool AllGrip badge right there. Now, the only thing that I don't like about the rear section of the 2020 Suzuki Vitara AllGrip is this rear camera. It's the placement of the rear camera. I mean, they could have integrated it better with the hatch, probably put it in the middle somewhere and all that. Don't get me wrong, I love that it's there, but I'm just saying they might have hit it a little better. Now, taking a look at the inside here, and you've got an expansive rear cargo space for you to put all your stuff in it. I mean, this is just a 5-seater, so you can definitely just experience all the space in it, so you can enjoy all that. But if you need more space, you can just fold down these 60/40 seats. They fold down pretty flat, so if you have any long items or large items, you can just do all that. So yeah, the Suzuki Vitara, this is definitely how the Suzuki Vitara looks, and we'll check out the inside and I'll show you more about this, which I think you will really love. Okay, so inside the Suzuki Vitara, you're greeted with a huge swath of plastic material inside, except for the top part of the dash, which is fairly soft touch, but still pretty hard. Now, what's interesting about the interior trim is this silver-like trim on the dash here. That definitely gives it more character, makes it a little bit more interesting, but at least it's not piano black. I've said it a lot of times before, piano black interiors are definitely not my thing. It could be yours. What do you think? Leave us a comment down in the section below. Now, it also has this AllGrip badge up front there to remind you that you're driving not just any Vitara, but the latest one, the AllGrip version 1. All right. Now, you also have this huge 10-inch touchscreen infotainment system, which mind you, looks larger than it actually looks like. It kind of looks like the largest one that I've actually reviewed in a long time here, and it's fairly intuitive. It gives you all the information you need. What I love about Suzuki cars, however, is got to be this steering wheel. It's their classic 3-spoke design with brushed aluminum trim in the middle section right here. This classic, simple design, you really can't beat that. That 3-spoke design is really amazing. And behind that, you'll see your pedal shifters, so you can row your own boat. We'll check that out in the driving section later on. The steering wheel is padded in leather. You got your control buttons here for your cruise control on the right and your media on the left. All right, so on the bottom section here, in the bottom of the infotainment system, which, by the way, has Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Thank goodness it has that. You've got your automatic climate control. It keeps things pretty cool, by the way, which is important because the thing about this panoramic sunroof, which I think looks pretty cool, but if you have it covered, it's only covered by the soft sheet cloth material that can barely keep the sun out. So unlike other cars which has this solid plastic material to cover the sunroof, it has that soft sheet that just, that barely does its job, so you definitely need all the air conditioning that you need. Have you noticed the old school clinometer is on the 10-inch screen, but for those old school SUV fanatics, they would know that this clinometer would usually be on top of the dash. Now, in place of that, you have your analog clock and two of the air conditioning vents, so at least people will still know that you're driving an SUV, but the thing is, you're not looking at it directly, you're looking at the screen instead of that. By the way, that center gauge cluster, it matches the overall look of that analog clock. It has that chronometer type of theme going on, and it looks like a high-end watch. So yeah, if you're looking at a modern, a more contemporary SUV, but still have the same feel and same use out of it, Suzuki Vitara definitely is your game. What I really love about this particular section of the information on the gauge cluster is it actually shows you your average fuel economy by way of an arrow, all right? That way you can actually see what your current average fuel economy is, and it encourages you to top yourself whenever you're driving off. So you'll drive more sanely, you won't be pushing this car to its limit, and your incentive would be to keep that arrow to go ahead and see that arrow rising and see how economical your car or your Vitara would be. So you got more stuff here. One more thing that I like about this AllGrip, or the feature of the AllGrip in Suzuki's, especially in the Suzuki Vitara, is this dial, this knob right here below the shifter column. It's where you can actually select your different modes for your Suzuki Vitara's AllGrip system. I've explained this in this particular episode of the Z-List. Go ahead and click this card right here if you want to go ahead and watch more and get more information out of it. Basically what that is that you can select between Sport, Automatic, Snow, and Lock mode. What are those modes exactly? It has different parameters for your AllGrip system. Again, take a look at that video and I'll explain that at length. Alright, so you got more buttons here and everywhere. You got your center armrest, which can definitely get a lot of stuff in there. Your cup holders, everything's pretty basic. That's what I love about Suzuki's. Everything is pretty basic, but they do it really well without being too garish. So the only thing left to do right now is check out the rear and see how it fits me in my 5 and 10.5 frame. Okay, I have to be totally honest with you guys when it comes to the rear space and legroom of the Suzuki Vitara. Although I have excellent knee room and leg room, can definitely move around the bottom section of my body right here. The problem starts with this headliner. I mean, if I sit up straight, there we go, I barely have any headroom left. If any. I mean, it's definitely ruining up my hair right here, unless if I slouch down right here, which for me is not the ideal position for long trips. It doesn't have a center armrest as well, so sitting down in the rear for someone of my frame is probably out of the question. I'd rather be sitting up front. But for guys who are small or for average height guys, they could probably fit in the back. But for me, it's a no-go for me. Okay. And the thing about the rear here is that because of the thin lining that covers the sunroof here, the sunlight definitely gets in quite easily. The heat is definitely a bad factor for that. Thankfully, the air conditioning up front is strong, but it doesn't reach all the way back as I wanted it to be. I wish there were some rear air con vents here to help out, but that's not the case for the Vitara. It doesn't even have any USB ports or power sockets to just to get started with. So no, this is a no-go for me, and I wish they could have added that for the price range. We'll talk about the price range later on. So I'm back in my preferred seating, and it's time to get some wheel time behind the Suzuki Vitara. So let's put this up to automatic, to auto mode, because that's the everyday mode, and let's head off. All right, so driving the Vitara is a 1.5 liter naturally aspirated M16A engine that makes 115 horsepower and 156 Newton-meters of torque. Now that might not sound like much because it isn't. All right, now the Vitara doesn't really exactly, burn up your loins when it comes to driving, but I think it's adequate. You got to ask yourself, how much horsepower do you really need when driving a car around the city, or even bringing the Vitara around? Now I'd say, on auto mode at least, I think it's all right. I think it's just peppy enough for you to keep yourself going, keep yourself moving in the drive. And let's switch to sport modes. Now sport mode makes the throttle response more aggressive because it sends more power to the rear wheels, and just punch the throttle a little bit, it's gonna go ahead. Let's do it right now. What do you think? Well, here's what I think. Getting it to sports mode, well, it definitely, gives you more aggressive throttle response, and the steering doesn't change at all. The steering is pretty light and responsive even at the center position, but 115 horsepower is still 115 horsepower, and there's no getting away that fact. But again, the Suzuki Vitara is not about all-out speed. It's all about that AllGrip system. Now, in normal driving, you really would not need that AllGrip system. It's just something that's nice to have, all in all. Now, the good thing about having a smaller engine at 1.5 liters is fuel economy. The effects on fuel economy with this compact crossover SUV is stellar. Okay? I was driving this in the city, and I was able to net 9 kilometers per liter, and that is nothing short of amazing for a car this size and for something that has all-wheel drive in it. Now, with the AllGrip system and with the sport mode on, I'm really definitely enjoying myself because the throttle position is definitely nice. The braking is awesome. It does have anti-lock brakes and electronic brake force distribution, mind you. So the front passengers are definitely safe in this one, and so is the rear passengers, because it has Suzuki's hardtech technology, which means the body is more rigid, and it can help the inside passengers from being injured in the event of a collision. So got that going for you. Steering is nice and nimble, a bit light for my liking actually. Now it does ride on McPherson struts up front and a torsion rear suspension in the back. Now a lot of people might be saying that having a torsion rear bar suspension in the back might be detrimental for cars, especially crossover SUVs, given a bouncy feel inside. But I gotta tell you, the Suzuki Vitara is one of the smoothest, most one of the sportiest types of crossover SUVs out there. It actually in the spectrum of floaty and sporty, it leans more towards the sporty side of that spectrum. And even during these hard corners, see, no body rolls at all. What's going on? What black magic is this, Suzuki? I know you don't have independent suspensions all around, but it doesn't feel like it. There's no body roll at all inside this one. It's really fun to drive this around. So for the guys out there who say that torsion rear beam suspensions are Not a good sign for these types of vehicles. Ask my picky passenger. They always tell me that the ride here is too bouncy, too floaty. But on this one, it's one of the more planted vehicles. Even if you compare this to a sedan, no, this beats them handily. Definitely good, all good. Kudos to Suzuki on that one. Also, it has rear parking sensors, front and rear parking sensors, and a backup camera, which definitely works out really great. It's pretty conservative, and it's pretty conservative. I'm saying conservative in saying it will be beeping non-stop and giving you that flat line sound, and then if you check the outside, that's still quite a few ways off until you hit something, hit an obstacle. So I guess Suzuki's main priority for this one is total safety. Also has traction control, hill descent, and hill assist. So yeah, I have all that covered for you. Driving the Suzuki Vitara. Now, if you're still in the market for the OG or the old front-wheel drive Vitara, you guys are out of luck, because that's now being phased out in favor of the AllGrip variant. I don't want to say variant because this is now going to be the only Vitara available right now, and it's priced starting at 1,458,000 pesos. Now you might be thinking that at that price point, the Suzuki Vitara is on the top end of the segment when it comes to pricing, and you're right. Now that with Chinese brands and even other established brands releasing their own compact SUVs with more powerful engines, there's more spacious interiors, you might be thinking that, yeah, it might be too far off. But you got to remember, the Suzuki Vitara is not about, like I said, it's not about power, it's not about practicality per se, but it's all about that AllGrip system. It's all about being legit with the SUV part of your SUV. I mean, a lot of cars nowadays market themselves as compact crossover SUVs, but really what they are just raced sedans, or probably raced hatchbacks or raced wagons. But the Vitara isn't just a Vitara on name alone. It's not just an SUV just because some button pusher wants to call it an SUV. No, if you remember the Vitara of the early 90s, being a rugged off-road vehicle, as macho and all that, this one can legitimately say that it really is that same SUV. Maybe just smaller, more fuel efficient, and more practical maybe. Yeah. So yeah, if you are in the market for a rugged and legitimately hardcore crossover SUV, the Vitara must be on your list. So there you have it, folks, the 2021 Suzuki Vitara AllGrip. It's the Vitara for the new generation, for the millennial generation. It's small, it's compact, but it still has those Vitara off-road rugged genes. What do you think? Leave us a comment in the comment section down below. If you want to get the Suzuki Vitara AllGrip, head on over to Zigwheels.Ph and go ahead and find the best pricing for this Vitara. There you have it, folks, another review done. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, leave us a like and hit that notification icon so you're alerted whenever we upload a new video. Once again, it's Roy Robles here from Zigwheels.Ph, and I'll see you guys next time.